Hello and welcome to another episode of the amazing Cracking the Rich Code podcast. I'm your host, John Verico, and I'm again delighted to be here. We have another extraordinary guest for you. And I know I'm always saying how great my guests are, but it's absolutely true. And when you meet today's guest, you're going to know exactly why. I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of conversations with Krista Fee a few times in the past, and each and every time is more enlightening, and I learn more, and we laugh a bit, and she's just a great person. You're going to fall in love with her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the founder of Rise Up Phoenix Trauma and Crisis Institute. She is one of the most amazing survivors I have ever come across. She dealt with sexual abuse, domestic violence, has had a traumatic brain injury, and even dealt with cancer. So God bless her. She has come a long way, and she is constantly. She's just a fighter that I truly admire. Let me bring her on and let her talk and tell you about her story, tell you about her chapter in Cracking the Rich Code. So here she comes. Krista, good morning. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad that we were able to get this scheduled. I know we were thinking about it for a while. We were waiting for Cracking the Rich Code Volume 20 to be close to publication. So it should be out in the near future from the time that we're doing this. Of course, these episodes are evergreen, so they'll be out there, and I'm sure people will be listening to it after the book is out, but they want to definitely seek out your chapter in it. I love when we get a chance to chat because every time you and I have spoken, we've had a great time. And so I'm so glad when I saw you come on the schedule, I'm like, yes, I get to talk to Krista again. This is very cool.
I'm pretty easy going.
Well, you are, and I think that's why we get along. And I think that anybody who meets you and gets to know you, will truly understand that. Now, I don't know if you heard my introduction, but I did tell a little bit about your background and how you are such an amazing person. What a fighter you are to have gone through some of the real horrors that you have had to face in life. But yet you still, you're up, you're perky, and you smile and you keep on going. And so, like I said, I truly admire you and what you're able to do. So let's talk a little bit about. Oh my God, let's tell people about Krista and what you do, kind of how you got to where you are now.
Ooh, that's a big story. And like you said, there have been many traumas in my life. I have overcome some major obstacles, and I will say, like, we all have major obstacles, right? I can check all the boxes pretty much on the trauma checklist, but it, it's not about the trauma anymore. So what the work that I do is helping people come through the journey of where were we? Those traumas are a victim and villain story. That's this person did this thing to me, or this happened to me.
Exactly. Yes.
We live in that place for a long time, and then we get to that place where no, then now we have a villain and a hero. I'm conquering this thing that happened to me. I'm overcoming. This is my that beautiful story of empowering ourselves. And then after that, there's peace. After that, there is the place where you are your story, where it's not about that anymore. It's
Right.
part of your story, but it isn't your story. And I feel like when we talk about healing, and when we talk about empowerment, and when we talk about growth and all of the leadership, these big topics, we forget that there's a place after that hero story where we're just who we are, and we're able to change the world for ourselves and for others from that place.
It's a story of becoming, isn't it?
Who you are, not
Yes.
who you would have been had it not happened, but just who you are.
Oh, I like that. That's a great way to frame that. And that's, I think, that's what makes you so admirable is because you have this attitude to help, um, to help yourself through through all of the stuff that you've dealt with. But like you said, they didn't hold you back. They made you what you are, but you you became a new person out of all of this, and not a scarred person, which is what happens to so many people who go through whatever kind of trauma, whether it is an illness or uh, violence, all that kind of stuff. Everything that we've gone through, I mean, we've all gone through something, and sometimes it's not as full on traumatic as the things that you've had to deal with, but just being able to, as we emerge from these villain victim and hero relationships, ultimately we become somebody new, and I love the person that you've become, Krista. I really do. And I really want you to be able to share your story and tell us more about, kind of, uh, what what do you think you've become now?
Ooh, there's a reason for the Phoenix in the Rise Up Phoenix Trauma and Crisis Institute. And I often say that the Phoenix doesn't rise in spite of the fire. It rises because of the fire.
Hmm.
It burns to ash and becomes something extraordinary. And ego aside, uh, if it wasn't for the pain, if it wasn't for the suffering, if it wasn't for the moments of evil and the horrific things that I've seen and experienced for myself, I would not have chased the dream that I had, and I wouldn't have the impact that I have. I am able to work. I work in human trafficking, and I work on the front lines. So I work in crisis response and search and rescue. And when I say search and rescue, what that means more often than not is search and recovery. So I'm dealing with
Yeah.
the lost, the actual lost, and bringing people back home long after everyone else has stopped looking. And you can't face you can't face that darkness if you haven't built the strength and the resilience to recover from it. So I am grateful for everything that I've been through, not to the people that did the things that they did.
Right.
They will pay in their own way.
Right.
Their comeuppance will come. But because I had the opportunity to discover that nothing can stop me and that I'm bigger than whatever is out there, there's really been there, done that. There's really nothing that scares me. So I can face death and not fear it. I can face crisis and not fear it. I can face the ugliness of human behavior and not have it tear me down. And in that is my superpower.
And it's a pretty magnificent cape too. It really is. And I so now you are using what you have experienced and what you've learned, and this strength that you have found within yourself, and you're using that to help others.
Yeah. And uh, uh, I do have to say that, like, that sound really egotistical, but it's not just that I've experienced it all. I've also spent over 20 years getting over 100 certifications in crisis and trauma. I understand the neuroscience, and like I've put in the work to learn the knowledge, and I have the experience. So those things combined creates a unique worldview that very few people have.
Well, and I like the way you addressed it is, as you experience these things, you took them as, I don't want to say opportunities, but I'll use that term, as opportunities to then go and get kind of formal education and certifications to help you to understand everything that you had gone through and how to pull through, and what's going on with your mental and physiological reactions. And now you know how to help people that way now. That's just so amazing.
Thank you.
So so tell me what you're doing. Tell me, well, we're going to get to what you wrote about in a little bit, but tell me what you're doing now with Rise Up Phoenix.
Ooh, I still do the frontline work about half the time, but I also wanted to create something that would live on long after me, something that could change systems and structures, and to really build something that I didn't have to be there all the time to be able to help people. So, the best way with modern technology to do that is to put everything that I do into evergreen formats, into courses and systems and structures, so that all of that information and all of the processes and systems that I've created, uh, uh, they're just there and people can use them, and I can provide them for people that have less ability to resource expensive. Like, you might not be able to afford therapy, but you might be able to do an online course that provides you a lot of really good self-reflection material and a lot of support in a community that serves to protect you,
Right.
because it's a safe space. Uh, so that was my goal. So we're now establishing the online institute, which offers a lot of that no touch stuff. So if you don't want to connect with people, you can do that all on your own, alongside, of course, our organizational trainings and the textbooks that we're writing and the research that we're doing. We just wanted to create an actual institution that really could be seen as the forefront expert in crisis and trauma.
Yeah, and your website, which is coming up here, is riseupphoenix.org, and people should be able to learn more about all of this and the process and the things that the offerings that you have online. And I know you're building that out and adding material to that continuously. So I'm looking forward to watching the evolvement of it as as you're adding material to it. So I put on the screen there riseupphoenix.org for people who want to check that out and learn more about all that you're working on.
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna
forgive me. That is in its baby stages. My team is having a hard time keeping up with me.
it's always that way, isn't it? It's like it keeps things fun and exciting when you're trying to you're trying to move and you want to move fast, and but there's these things that have to happen first, like
Right?
the technology or whatever. All
Yeah.
right, I'm ready to go. Here's the material. Poof. It's not. Yeah, it takes a bit. It takes a bit. And I've had to learn that as an entrepreneur, trying to figure out, okay, is there's not always a team. Sometimes you put together a team, but there's still so many different elements involved in entrepreneurship than when you're actually working in an organization. So there's the chasing the business, there's the building the website, is all that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I've got to do that. If I'm going to get this, I have to have that. In order to do that, I need this, and
It is all dominoes. It is
it
all
is,
dominoes.
it is.
And I'm usually 10 steps ahead of all of the things that need to be structurally built. Like, I have 5 books coming out next month, and they're all in like different, they're all like you. I have a really hard time saying no to projects. I've got three with other people, the compilation stuff, and then I have an active shooter hostile event response textbook coming out, and
Oh,
I have a trauma informed leadership book coming out. So they're all on like totally different topics and in totally different, uh it's just, it's really fun right now. I'm very much enjoying this process of just being able to like really get my stuff out there, but it is a lot, and people have a hard time keeping up with me. And I didn't realize that my brain, it maybe ADD, maybe something, I don't know, but I'm always doing 100 things at once. And most people just aren't like that. They're like, "Oh, I have a niche and I have a one thing that I do, and like this is my message." And I'm like, "No, we're going to transform this whole trauma."
oh yeah. Oh, look, a chicken. Yeah, I mean, but and that, I think that's why we connected, because I think we're very similar. As you know, I also have worked with search and rescue teams and recovery evolutions, and worked with security forces and active shooter situations and training, and so that, I think we've got a lot in common with that. I don't, not as much hands on as you. Um, but I was in the communication side of those elements. But still, the familiarity with the scenarios. I can certainly understand, and I love the fact that you're doing all this stuff. I actually want to read some of these training manuals that you're putting together. Um, but speaking of reading, let's go back to what brings us to this particular program, which is the Cracking the Rich Code, and you're in volume 20. And what is the name of your chapter?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember.
What is it about?
It is about the progression of our story. It's about how important it is to tell our story. And that, like I mentioned in the very beginning when we were talking about that progression from the villain story to the hero story to the place where we actually get through that and realize that, wait, we are our story. It's no longer about what happened to us. But the importance of being able to use what happened to us to show others that our most our biggest human needs are to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood or accepted, right? So nothing makes us feel understood more than aligning with someone who's been through something similar to what we've been through, and to go, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Oh my gosh,
Bingo.
this person survived. What tools did they use to survive? Like, how can I get through this? I can see that someone else got through this. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There is happiness at the end of the tunnel. There is survival at the end of the tunnel. And there's thriving, not just being alive, right? Because
Right. Thriving, not just surviving.
thriving is
Exactly.
different.
Yeah. And you really hit a key point, and something I emphasize all the time too. The most important thing for us to realize at any given time in any situation is that we are not alone. Somebody else has dealt with this as well in some way, shape, or form. There's always something to be learned. There's always someone you can turn to. And even if they haven't been through what you've been through, they can still help you. And just remember that you're not alone in any situation. And that is so critical. And that even comes to, you're not alone in your success either. We have to remember that, nobody thrives entirely on their own. It's all because we work together on things. And even the wealthiest CEOs who think they're self-made individual who's climbed to the top, he can't have gotten to work without the people who built the roads to get him there. So, there we go.
It takes a village.
It absolutely does. And everybody in the village is a key piece of it. And that's such a valuable lesson. So as people read your chapter, is there, besides the fact that you're not alone, is there another, like an aha thing that you say at the end of that chapter, after reading that chapter? What would you have wanted them to think, do, or feel differently?
Oh, so many people, especially in the self-help industry and out here speaking, right? I see it all the time. The wounded healer, the broken leader, right? They
Mm-hmm.
get stuck in that hero story. They get stuck in the empowerment phase when it's us against the world and I'm taking on this thing and I'm going to beat it and we're going to, like, it's a beautiful place to be. But I really want people to recognize that that's not healed, that that's
Right.
a lot of work to do, and that's not your nervous system and your brain and your body connected and at peace, and that's not the best. The best is yet to come.
Right.
So don't
Oh,
stop
beautiful.
there. Don't stop there.
That is a brilliant perspective. And I think most of us in the world are just wondering about getting through whatever adversity we might face or accomplishing whatever goal that we have in mind. But the goal is not the goal.
Right. The goal is to be who you truly
Yeah.
are and
Yeah.
fully, authentically free.
I love this. I love this. So now, so here you are doing all this stuff, um, especially in the, kind of the frontline stuff that you do. and then you got this wacko call from somebody said, "Hey, I'm doing a book." Was this, first of all, was Cracking the Rich Code your first entry into the publishing realm?
No.
Okay. But you've
uh,
done other collaboration books before.
I have done a few collaboration books before. I'm actually looking up at my little shelf of my books. I have a really hard time saying no, and there's a lot of people that put out your story uh, compilations. So my healing journey is actually marked by the different time periods uh,
Right.
of when I did a compilation. So I've got like a Warrior Woman series. Clearly that comes from that phase of, you know, we're all tough and we're taking on the world and we're going to like get this powerful position of empowerment and growth and that was a beautiful series. But it's very interesting because when Cracking the Rich Code came out, when I was asked to do it, I had just read all of my old stuff, and that's kind of where the chapter came from that I decided to put in there, was the realization that my healing journey was very public. I mean, I've got almost 1,000 podcast episodes, and like you can see the transformation through the
Yes.
years. You can see that weakness and that fear that I was using to live my life. Like when we're in that warrior zone, we're really in a fear zone more often than not, and we're trying to prove ourselves.
Right.
And we're trying to discover who we are. So this book came at a point in time when I was like really realizing that that's not me anymore. That I don't feel like I have to prove who I am anymore. That I know heart, soul, in every cell of my body what I stand for and who I am. And there's not anything that's going to change that. There's not anything I could experience that will derail that. So that getting asked to do this book was just the right timing to kind of put a lid on all that and go, yes, I'll tell my story, but I'm not telling my story the same way anymore.
Love it. Right. Because you had a new perspective on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a victim story in this book.
No, not a victim story, not a villain story.
Nope. No,
And
it's a new audience too. I mean,
yeah.
how many people in the corporate world are struggling with that, right? We all experience trauma. You can own a bank and you still have stuff going on in your human life.
Mm-hmm.
So when we speak to professionals, we forget that they're humans also. They're not just executives. They're not just millionaires. They're humans also with human stories and human experiences. And they need safe space just as much as anybody else.
And that is the key of all of this, and remembering that we are all human beings and that we all have stuff going on in our life. There's an ancient proverb that says, if you live long enough, everything will happen to you. And if you think about that, you know, at some point you'll be the victim. At some point you'll be the villain, a hero. And another point, you may be the villain in somebody else's story. And so you don't know what's going on in people's lives. They may be healthy at this point. They may be sick. They may be hungry. They may have plenty. Everybody goes through cycles, things happening in their life, and you just don't know. And so if we just kind of forget about titles, positions, and possessions, and just look at the fact that we're fellow human beings that may have something going on in their life, and just treat each other with a little bit more compassion and understanding, you know, I think the world would be a much, much better place.
Unconditional positive regard. If you
I like that.
recognize that all people are doing their best from where they are in this moment
Mm-hmm.
and from their level of awareness for self and others, if you can recognize that, you can see the world completely differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to find that lens.
It takes a lot of practice.
It does. It absolutely does. So now Cracking the Rich Code is coming out on the street here. You've got 5 books in the works, you said. I can't even imagine knocking out that quantity of stuff at the same time. But that actually seems to be a running theme with several of the people who've been on this podcast lately. That I keep talking to people who are working on multiple books, and for some people, the Cracking the Rich Code was their first one, and it was their catalyst, and then they get the bug. It's like a tattoo. You can't stop with one. Now, see, I never got the one, so I was in the Navy for 25 years. I don't have a tattoo. It's weird, but but I hear from everybody who does get them that they just keep going back and getting more and more, and that's what happens is you get the writing bug once you get started. And you're right, the Cracking the Rich Code audience is a very different audience than what we might have been in other books. And so it's a great compilation there. What we learned from our fellow authors has been terrific too. And I know you've been participating in the masterminds and things like that. So where I was going with this when I brought out the books and then sidetracked myself was that, okay, so what's really next for you besides these books? Where you go from here now?
Ooh. More of the same. I actually want to expand my speaking. I want to do a lot more conferences. I want to do a lot more with the education system. We're diving into early childhood development with our Bright Heart Kids program that is accompanied by an adult resilience program. And we teach adults how to talk to kids, and we teach kids how to use tools. And when the adults know the same language that the kids do, it makes it really easy to practice together. So we're creating an entire system of children's books and a children's podcast that goes side by side with the adult education also. So we're teaching parents how to work with children who have all different ways of being.
And that information will be on your website, riseupphoenix.org.
Yeah, that should be, we have the Facebook's up and running for that. The podcast is up and running for that. The first Bright Heart is in final editing, and that should actually be out pretty soon. So
excellent. If you send me the links to the Facebook page,
okay,
and the podcast, I can put that into the show notes for this so people can find you.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And so meanwhile, oh, look at this. What did I tell you earlier before we got on? I said this time goes super fast.
Super fast.
And here it is. We are practically out of time. So important things for people to remember is that you're not alone. There are so many, and whatever has happened to you is not who you are. I think those are the really key takeaways from this. And I know you've got another one you'd like to throw out there. Or did I get it right?
Safe space. Be safe space. The biggest skill you have to learn is just how to be present with people in their times of need. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to give them advice. Just be present with them. And it's the most valuable help more often than not that you can give.
It's really hard for men, by the way.
Yes.
We're fixers. We like to try to fix everything. It's taken me 40 years of marriage to realize that she just wants me to listen. With that said, Krista, this has been a fantastic conversation. Everybody check out her website, which is riseupphoenix.org. Read her chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 20. And if you'd like to connect with Krista, she really is very responsive on LinkedIn. So look up Krista Fee Battle to Be on LinkedIn. Krista, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. Great conversation as usual. Always enlightening. And like I said, much admiration and respect for you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. This has been great. Folks, go back and listen to this thing from the beginning. You want to listen to it a couple of times. I'm just telling you, it's worth it. There's a lot of good info in here. Pick up the Cracking the Rich Code Volume 20 when it comes out, and read her chapter, and then look into all this other great stuff that she's been doing. And a lot of the details of that will be being posted on her website, which is riseupphoenix.org. Have a great day. We will catch you all soon. We'll see you in the next episode. And thank you again, Krista. Have a great day.